I'm Christine.
We're the Feminine Critique. We are a podcast. Are we not, Christine? Are we not?
I last time I checked, we were.
Well, the last time you checked, we were a Christmas movie podcast. Was that right?
That's true. I had to unsubscribe for a minute. Now we're back.
That is very reasonable. I wonder how many people do that. If people out there are like, oh God, December, we blockade Feminine Critique until we come back for January.
That would be funny if they did.
It's fine if you do. I will say, if you did not listen to Stocking Stuffers, the guests are always fabulous. Everybody that came on the show was amazing, and it was wonderful to have them. And you know what? The movies this year were pretty good.
Oh,
no duds.
That's a nice surprise.
No real duds. Even some things that made me laugh and maybe made me cry, question mark? Yeah.
Wow, an emotional Christmas.
It was. I am getting very soft in my old age. Old age, it hits us, and it's hitting us this time of year because we are in early January, which is when, at this point, everybody's already made their list, but it's when a lot of, people out there start thinking like, well, let's look at the past year. What did I watch? What did I do? What was 2023? And so that's why on today's episode, we are reviewing, I'm going to say the year, but reviewing our year. How's that?
I think that's good.
Yeah. We are looking at some of the favorite things we experienced in 2023. Yes, ideally, we're going to talk about movies that came out in 2023, but that doesn't happen often for me. A little more for you.
I try to stay, up on things.
Yeah, there's just, I guess the word content is used a lot these days, but there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of stuff that we're all supposed to enjoy and watch, and we talk a lot about TV and how impossible it is to keep up with TV. And I've kind of it's not my least favorite of the types of media to watch, but when I find out like a book I love is getting adapted or something like that, I get really excited, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be an Apple Plus TV series. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. I don't have time. That's a lot of time. Yeah. There are so many different sites that things are blocked behind and get more and more confusing on what you have and what something is and if it exists. MGM Plus, is that still a thing, Christine?
Yes.
Maybe?
I think so. I'm not sure. We are really culling our streaming services, and we're doing a lot of renting and like physical renting and stuff. So I don't even know, to be honest, what's anywhere anymore.
Yeah, we are currently on a 3-month, we were gifted a Criterion subscription.
Oh, me, I bought. Yes, I do still have that.
Oh,
Huge
nice.
Fan of the Criterion channel, right?
Oh, it's amazing. And it's one of those things I've always debated getting, but it's like, no, the problem with having Criterion channel is that so many of those movies, those are time commitment movies, and not definitely. Oh, they're longer. No. Those are movies that really demand their Criterion. They demand you sit down and turn the lights out and watch it, and often they're subtitled, and it's not a throwaway. It's not so it feels like you need to get your money's worth out of that one. Whereas Hulu has, 37 seasons of America's Next Top Model I can throw on in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's good to know that you have that, because then let's talk about that for our next couple of movies, because there's so much stuff on there.
They were having a really good deal, and here I'm like, yeah, we're canceling all our streaming, but they were having a really good deal, and I think it was when they were they had done their 90s horror.
Nice.
And now that's where I live. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I have access to all the stuff anyways, but it's cool. I want to see their curated collection. And and then I got hooked. Their collections. So this isn't to Emily, because Emily already knows because she has it. But if you do not have the Criterion channel and you are considering it, their curated collections are unbeatable. Right now they have a post-apocalyptic thing, and every movie, whether you've heard of it or not, is just going to fucking hit. It's just going to be good.
That one I'm so excited about, because there are 2 titles on there I have never heard of.
Yep.
They're both, I think, from the 40s or 50s. And at this point, I'm very much a completist on post-apocalypse. And I'm like, ooh, I don't even know these. They've never shown up in any of my books. I need to watch them. So
we should pick one.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh, okay. I have an idea then for that. Okay. I will make a mental note of that later. But yes, on that note then, talking about the best of. So Christine and I were kind of running through okay, what do you have from 2023? I'm like, I think I have one movie that technically is a 2023 movie that is on my, like, were I to make a best of list would be on there. You have several more, so let me hear one of yours.
Okay, so I would say my favorite movie of 2023, based on my ratings, because it is the only movie I gave 5 stars, would be They Cloned Tyrone.
Oh, I still haven't watched that.
I want to watch it again, because going through all my movies to see that was the only one I gave 5 stars.
Wow.
I'm like, I want to go see, is it still a 5-star? Does it still floor me that way? But I loved it. There's not a day that goes by, I don't think, that I don't randomly think of something in it. It was funny and disturbing and poignant and weird. So really, really great.
Oh, the problem with Netflix, there's an interface problem with Netflix, which is that it does not let you, and this is true actually, now that I'm saying this is true of most of the streaming sites now. I think I'm spoiled because, again, I was a Netflix user from 2009, and the video queue you could rearrange really easily. So the whole idea was, you were saying what you wanted next, so what was number 1 counted, so you can move things around. And when Netflix kind of changed over to a new system, there is no organizing of your list at all. And it's very, like, it is designed now for you to stumble on Netflix and, like, have things go by and just pick something and watch it.
Yeah.
It doesn't let you kind of curate and move things together and move things around. So
they're definitely driving you towards an ultimate decision.
Completely,
right?
yes.
I feel that way about Amazon too. But.
Amazon does it too, yeah. The Amazon, at least, I think, at least in my view of Prime, it's what you've added. It just goes based on date when you added it.
Yeah.
So if I added something today, it's top of my list. If I added something a year ago, it's way bottom of my list. But it's all near each other. So at least I can remember when I put stuff on there. Yep. With Netflix, it is completely random. So I know I put this on my queue. I would never be able to find it on my queue. I would just have to go to Netflix and start typing it in and find it. And it's harder to remember to do that because now I have to remember this title that I want to watch.
Nope, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I would say it's one of the best. Who knows how I watched it because I don't give Netflix my money. But I will say it's one of the best Netflix distributed things I've seen in ages.
Nice.
Because there was, in my opinion, a dip in quality for a while. And a lot of it wasn't necessarily even the quality of the product, but the way it looked. There were all those articles about why do movies look this way now?
Yeah.
And I feel like Netflix was really the top of the heap on the movies look like this now. And this one breaks every. I don't know. I'm not that smart. I don't know about distribution or producing as far as Netflix goes. So I don't know how much skin they had in the They Cloned Tyrone game. I don't know if they just acquired it and put it out.
Yeah.
Or if and that's why it looks so great or whatever. But yeah, high recommend, even though it's on Netflix.
Well, on the Netflix train, I will name my Netflix movie of the year then, which is, we have not talked about this yet. I don't know if you've watched it. Everybody else did on Thanksgiving weekend, and that is May December.
I have not seen it yet.
Okay. I can't.
It's on the queue. I want to watch it, but it's one of those that I feel like I need to find a time to watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely best, and it's not because it's a tonal thing. No. It's a Todd Haynes movie.
Yeah.
His movies deserve a level of commitment and figuring out, because there's a lot of things that are great about this, but one of them very much is that tonal, what he is doing with tone, which is wild. And you never quite know if you should be laughing or should be gasping and everything else. And it is probably a movie that is best experience for you to get into it and let it kind of get under your skin and figure out where you keep landing. It's, I think everybody knows what it is. It's Julianne Moore, Natalie Portman, Charles Melton. There's, again, I am always very uncomfortable with based on true story type stories because I find it very... discomforting in many ways. And there's a little bit on this one, names are changed. This is not a direct adaptation of a real story, but there's a lot of specificity that's ugh. But also that is kind of the point of the movie is sort of a meta take on how we tell those stories and what we get out of those stories and how we use them and abuse them and what that actually means for the people that lived it and doesn't matter. Maybe it does. There's so much going on. And it's so funny and so awful and everybody is really great in it. I have, we have talked about Natalie Portman and how I am not always the biggest fan of her. Mm-hmm. What she is doing in this is so specifically tricky, and it's a great performance. So watch it. I'm excited for you to watch it. It is not for everybody. I think it's also a movie that very much plays differently as you play it back, as you probably revisit it. Because it's one that I watched, I finished, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then a week later, I found myself thinking totally differently about it. And I think it's like, and I love that kind of movie. And I think Todd Haynes, like, and you go back to Safe, and like, this is, I feel like very much in some ways, like, reminded me not of that movie because it's tonally very different, but there's aspects of like the experience you have with Safe where you never fully know where you as a viewer is supposed to be in this universe and like what you're supposed to believe and how much you're investing where. I had that similar feeling with this, only it's also very funny. So, yeah.
I'm excited to watch it. I'm definitely excited to watch it. So it's on my list. I'll try to watch it before we talk again so we can discuss it. Nice.
All right. Give me another one of your favorites.
Well, so that was your last like top of 2023.
Of 2023. After that, it's movies that I first watched in 2023. Okay. I can argue that I have like one movie on the list that was no. You know what? Okay. I can give a few more that either came out in 2023 or were made mostly public in 2023. So we'll say I can keep going, but you go next.
So let me just do a block, like a quick little rock block, because they're all movies except one. They're mostly movies I've already mentioned on this. But if I had to corral my top movies of 2023, knowing that I had not seen everything because there are holes, it would be They Cloned Tyrone, Cobweb, a movie that I have discussed on this podcast.
It's on Hulu now. I'm going to watch it soon.
So just really good. Maybe not the best movie, but like definitely one that has stuck with me and I know I'm going to want to rewatch. And then Perpetrator, a movie that I have talked about on this podcast. Jennifer Reeder.
Oh yes, that's on Shudder, and I've been kicking myself to watch that.
It really affected me, and I really dug it. But like, mileage may vary and stuff.
Do I need to watch that one in one sitting, or can I split that one up in 2 days?
You can split it up, but it's very vibey, and I do worry about finding like a good place to stop where you won't be weird going back in. You know. Okay. And then almost my favorite movie of the year, I would say, would be Bottoms.
Oh,
which we have not talked about.
We have not. No, I have not seen it.
It was in my like year end, like, I'm going to rush to get these watched to see where I land on them, and I adore this movie. Oh, it's kind of perfect. So.
Oh, it seemed very funny. It has a great cast. Has not come to my eyes yet.
Yeah. When you get access to it or it's around, definitely, it's fun. It's really fun.
Very nice.
Okay. So those are my tops. And then I have some standouts and some also goods. So we can go from there.
I love that Bottoms is in your tops.
It is.
Yeah. So let me hear your standouts.
Oh, okay. So I think most of these I have talked about here as well. So looking back, I watched a lot of 2023 movies and I was kind of disappointed by a lot of them. So these are just basically movies that like didn't disappoint me. They paid off the way I hoped, or even better. So I don't think you saw it, but Meg, which is something I did talk about.
Wait, Megan?
No, Meg 2.
Meg 2 I did not see.
Yeah. It's the Ben Wheatley directed Meg movie. It is absurd and ridiculous, and personally what I want out of a killer shark movie.
Yeah, that's what you should be getting out of a killer shark movie.
Totally Killer, which...
Still have not watched that.
As of all the movies that are kind of like Totally Killer that came out in 2023, it was my favorite.
Nice.
The new House LLC.
Hell House LLC?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, you're a fan of that franchise. I never kept going.
Yeah, the first one I thought, we just recently rewatched the first one, and I still think it's one of my favorite found footage movies. So like if you're not in it to win it, and you're not, this is the fourth one, like I get it. Like, if you're not in the franchise at this point, maybe it's not for you.
Sometimes I get so sad when there are successful franchises that I'm just not into. Because that's always how I felt about Fast and the Furious. Like, everybody, 98% of the world loves this property and they keep making them. And every time they make one, people are happy. And I'm like, it just doesn't talk to me.
And you're on the outs.
I guess it's like people who don't like chocolate and they're constantly like just kind of like pushed aside and everybody judges them. I guess that's how I felt about the Hell House thing. Yeah.
Well, it's okay. I mean, and if you're curious, this one does kind of, it follows along, but it does kind of do a soft reset. Okay. So like, I don't know. Insidious, The Red Door.
The Patrick Wilson one.
Shocked by how much I liked that.
Nice.
And then Missing, which is the Soul sequel to Searching, which I liked a lot. Missing is Storm Reed, and it's fun, and her parent is missing, and it's weird, and I liked it.
Nice.
And then the last one is The Passenger, which is a Kyle Gallner movie, and I do not know if I talked about that here.
I believe you did. That's the one that is directed by... Is that directed by our boyfriend from the Ruins?
It is, isn't it?
I think so.
I'm just putting it into my letterbox.
It is directed by Carter Smith. Yay, Carter Smith.
Yeah, it's so good. I think this is actually Zach's favorite movie of the year.
Oh, fabulous. So. I have not seen any of those.
So if those are ones I liked, so if you come across them, maybe you'll like them too.
I will. I've had some of those have been on lists, and it's just a matter of waiting for the time or for them to actually be watchable. And others I would not have thought to watch or seek out, perhaps. So, do I have to see Insidious 4 to see Insidious: The Red Door?
No.
Okay, because I've heard nothing good about Insidious 4.
I didn't like it at all. Insidious: The Red Door really is like a direct sequel to the first two.
Okay.
I don't even know if the third one... I liked the third Insidious.
Third one might be my favorite.
Yeah, the third one's really... The third one's too scary. I can't rewatch it.
Aww.
It's upsetting. But this one's really good, I thought. I think I've heard people not enjoy it, but like, I don't know. Especially after that fourth one.
Yeah, which did not seem to win any fans.
No.
All right, I guess my other movies I liked that maybe came out this year. Well, Barbie. I know you were not as high on Barbie, but I did really like Barbie. I have not rewatched it. It's available now, and I keep meaning to and want to show Brad in it. But when I rewatch it, I'm curious where I'll land again. But I mean, I was very happy and very, very satisfied when I went to see Barbie. And then I think technically Lockdown Tower, I think was probably a 2023 release, at least in the States. So we'll say that's on Shudder. That's the crazy, the world outside is gone. And so we're all going to resort to tribalism and cannibalism and
I got to watch that one.
Yeah. Again, it's bleak. I really liked it. I'm a monster. What can I say? I don't know if Duel was this year.
Oh, where's Duel for me? I have Duel in my first time watches, so I don't know.
So it was probably technically like a 2022 or something. But it was like a pandemic probably that never, which is why it never landed anywhere and just sort of showed up on Hulu one day.
Yeah, I co-sign. Big co-sign.
Duel is great. If you folks haven't watched it, it was on Hulu. I don't know if it still is. Duel, Dual. It is about clones, but not quite the way you think it's going to be. It's, again, the movie I just compare it to is The Lobster in terms of this weird, clipped, tonal, black comedy, deadpan style, but it's doing so much stuff, and I found it fascinating, and I loved it. Okay. Again, this one probably technically... Actually, I have two that are that were probably late 2022 to where most people saw them early 2023. So because I don't watch anything new that isn't a Christmas movie, I feel like I'm going to count them. So those would be Sarah Polley's Women Talking.
Still haven't seen it.
So fucking good.
I know I need to.
So good. And it's a case of a movie where I watched it and loved it and then read the book a few weeks later and was like, oh, I love when you see an adaptation and see all of the decisions made and say every decision she made was the right decision.
I love it.
It's so good. It's so powerful. Everybody in that movie is so giving. Again, you know how I feel about Rooney Mara. She is so magical in this movie, and I do not like her I do not find again, I don't think I think she can be a very good actor in the right role. But I dislike her so much that I generally have a very hard time connecting with her, and she plays like the light in this movie, and my God, I left it thinking like, I want to give her a hug. It's just so good and so powerful, and somehow a lot less devastating than you think it's going to be. It's really moving, and it's very there's a lot of power in it. So I feel like what happens with a lot of those kinds of movies that sort of are small movies that come out that get success, got an Oscar, but then, the year moves on and we never think to go back to those little movies because we want to watch them like in the Oscar season or something like that. And so to everybody out there, if you have not watched it, I'm sure it's streaming somewhere, I don't know where, but it is really worth experiencing at some point in life. And then the last one that was, again, I think it was late 2022, so because I think I heard about it from you, and then it was on somebody else's best of the year list last year. Ooh. And this is, and again, I could be wrong, and this could have been an entire year before that. I don't know what time is anymore, people. All of our brains have been mushed. We are going to the World's Fair.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I would have classified that as 2022, but fully.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was so on HBO at least in early 2023.
I'm so glad you liked it.
I did, and it's one that I definitely want to go back to at some point, because it really was one that I watched, and it ends, and I'm thinking something, and then the first thing I read about it, I'm like, oh my God, I saw something totally differently. And I love that in a movie, and I think that movie is one that very much is meant to just put something out there, put certain feelings out there, not necessarily tell you anything, but tell you what people may be going through and might be thinking, and then to kind of peel back and say, but also people lie, and what is reality? And I don't know, I found it so powerful. Yeah. And also felt like I didn't understand it at all. And that to me is really exciting.
Me too. I'm a big fan of, puzzling out a movie. And sometimes I start to the detriment of my own experience, start trying to game the movie while it's on. But very quickly, I'm like, I don't know what this is doing, and I don't think I care. And it's really liberating, because I think that's part of the excitement I felt was I trust this filmmaker to the point, I don't know this filmmaker. I trust them to the point where I don't give a shit where this is going. And that does not happen.
And I love it. I love when when you realize within a movie, I don't fully speak the language that you're talking, but I am gonna watch this without subtitles in that sort of figurative way, if you will, of just saying I'm giving in. I don't know where you're taking me. I have a feeling I'm not gonna land safely, but I want to go on the ride, and that's how I felt with that one.
I am very glad you enjoyed it. I know it can be tough. I suggested it to my mom, and she was like, I don't know what you're getting me into.
And it's also one I think that it's a tough sell, not a tough sell, but it's an easy miss-sell, because if you were to read a quick description of it, and you see where it's classified, you probably think you're getting, found footage, unfriended type horror movie, and you're not. It is, it falls, I don't know what genre it goes into. It is spooky, and it will really grab you and make you feel things. But if you tell somebody this is a horror movie, it's somehow less horror than Skinamarink, where it's no, it's not going to do what you expect it to do if you found it on this video shelf. But if you allow yourself to get taken in by it, it's going to do something, and that's going to be more challenging than just a scary monster coming out of a TV set.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Oh, now I want to watch it.
I know, me too. On that note, do you want to talk about the disappointments of the year, and then we'll backtrack to older watches we did?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to just throw out real quick a couple honorable mentions that I feel like deserve to be mentioned. I won't go in too deep, but I don't think I've talked about them here yet.
Then let's hear 'em.
I really like Dungeons and Dragons. I know everybody did, but I did.
Good.
It's good. Also, Slaughterhouse.
Oh, I have been dying to watch this because it sounds adorable.
It's everything you want.
Yes.
If you're at all like okay with the premise, just sight unseen, it delivers.
It's a puppet, right? It's like puppet
Yeah.
action. Yes.
Emily,
No, I
he's
love
so
puppets.
cute.
Ugh.
He's so sweet. I think my review is something like 10/10. That sloth. That sloth is so good.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So those are just two that I wanted to throw out there.
Nice.
And then biggest disappointments. Oh boy, I had some disappointments this year. But I kind of just saved it for things that I was actually like kind of looking forward to,
Okay.
and then didn't deliver. So I think my number one disappointment this year is actually A Haunting in Venice.
Ooh, so we finally watched the first two. We watched Orient Express and Death on the Nile fairly recently. We were thinking about watching Haunting in Venice. We almost watched it last night, but then watched something else. So we're going to watch it soon. So, but for you, this just keeps kind of on a downslide or what?
So yeah, I really liked Orient Express. Like
we did
to
too.
a point,
yeah,
to a point where people don't agree with me with how much I like it. But we didn't finish Death on the Nile. I couldn't do it.
I had two. I know a lot of people have a lot of strong feelings on Death on the Nile. We watched it. I had kind of three. I didn't hate it. I thought it was a big step down. My problems were and I haven't read the book, so I don't know, but I did not buy the reveal and the ending to me. When I sit back and thought it through, I'm like, I mean, maybe I have to go by and kind of watch at least that part again. To me, it did not actually work. I felt like there's no way that could have happened that way. So that bothered me a lot. The visuals of Death on the Nile, it has, like, you're watching a lot of CGI created universe and such, and fine. But then why call it out by then doing like an underwater shot that might as well be a screensaver? There were like decisions in that movie that just visually were so artificial.
Yeah,
and
that's why I stopped watching.
It was like genuinely like visually unpleasant. Where I'm watching, I'm like, no, like these are the whole point of these is that you get this great cast and you put them in great costumes and you have them be British and wry and all of this, and it's theatrical. Like it should be theatrical. So why am I suddenly seeing everything so CGI'd over? And the look of it really bothered me.
Yeah, me
and
too.
it did go on too long. It just felt for me like I was lagging watching it.
Yeah, it was a massive disappointment for me. So I was really like keen that they were doing another one, and I thought, okay, well maybe we've moved past that. Maybe the feedback was heard. Maybe situations and circumstances are different. So A Haunting in Venice will be different, and it was different. I would say it is more on par with the look and the feel of Orient Express as opposed to Nile. But for me, it was all story and plot and character stuff. It's loosely based on a book. The situation is a book, but the way it's handled isn't the same. I don't want to spoil anything.
Because we are going to watch it.
For me, like, it lacked a lot of logic. And part of why I like Agatha Christie so much is that the mystery is usually like a whole Buffalo mystery. Like everything plays into everything, and there are no loose ends, and
it's solvable. And at the end of it, you don't say, "Oh man, like what?" You say, "Wait a minute, oh my god, it was there the whole time."
So the distinction people have made with this one is it's not a whodunit so much as it's a mystery. Well, I can differentiate that. I do understand that there's a difference, but for me, they just didn't answer a lot of questions, and Poirot was acting really strange and like out of character, and I guess it's just all I hated it. but like it could just be me. But when I watch a mystery, I want you to show me, recontextualize everything you've already shown me and explain it. And this movie didn't do that.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So that's my biggest disappointment.
Now I'm trying to see if this one. Okay, yes, I have two. One, I can't remember where. I know you don't like it. I don't know if you didn't like it as much as I did. And this is a movie that I feel now even more justified in not liking, because I think the current climate around this franchise is now very wild. Fucking Scream 6.
Oh, I didn't even...
It is 2023. I just looked it up because I'm like, was that this year? I don't even know.
I just dumped it out so thoroughly. So I've watched it twice now.
Is it worse the second time? Like, does anything line up? The second time, are you like, oh, I guess they didn't stab them in the gut 17 times? Or you're like, no, they did stab them 17 times in the gut, now they're fine.
It's worse.
Ugh! Yeah, I hated it. I didn't really care for 4 or 5 of them. It was one of those movies where I'm like, okay, it's doing some things that I like, it's doing other things I don't. It's fine. It's not for me. Maybe I've aged out of this franchise, or it's not connecting with me anymore. But Scream 6, and it wasn't even just the whole, we're not going to kill anybody that we might still want to bring back in the franchise, which now feels like a very Marvel thing to do, right? Of, oh, no, it doesn't matter if anybody's dead, because they're not. Was also, like, it's set in quote-unquote New York. And, yeah, okay, great. Lots of things don't film in New York. But you're Scream 6. You had money. You're not... Why even bother pretending you're in New York if you're not even going to pretend it's New York?
Nope.
Like, that bothered me. Everything about every character bothered me. The fact that what they do to Courtney Cox in this movie and not even give her an ending. And it's... everything, Christine, everything.
No, I know. It's a heartbreaker. I'm shocked I didn't put it here. I guess I've just removed it from my brain. Like, I just couldn't even... I couldn't even handle it. But no, if you want to rewatch it. But I don't think you're gonna get anything new.
No, I'm
other
good.
Than new frustrations.
Well, and now we'll have an even bigger gap between Scream 7 because that studio doesn't know what the fuck it's doing.
I know the best part of the fucking new franchise, and they're like, "Nah, you're not in it anymore." Like, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, and then they're also like, oh yeah, and also Jenny Ortega, what a bitch, she's not coming back. It's like, no. And the everything about the timing of those announcements were like, Jenny Ortega, I'm sure, months ago was like, yeah, I'm probably not coming back for Scream. And them waiting to release that information to sort of put pressure off of the studio and shift it to Jenna Ortega. Like, all of the decisions, everything around it just felt very dirty and mean and bad PR on themselves without realizing it. And I hope Nev Campbell just keeps being like, 30 million. I'll come back for 30 million.
More.
And I'm only going to film in a car just like Kim Cattrall in Sex and the City. That's what she needs to do.
She should raise it. I'm zooming in and you have to pay me $100 million.
And I'm going to have my own costume designer. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's that one. Did you have any other disappointments?
I do. I have a couple. Okay. I was very disappointed by Pet Sematary Bloodlines. I was very disappointed by The Nun 2 because I had recently decided that I liked the first Nun.
Just in time to dislike The Nun 2. I
know, and the screenwriter of Megan in Malignant was on this as well, and I had really high hopes. It just didn't work for me. 65 was a huge disappointment.
Oh, that's the Adam Driver one, dinosaur one.
You already said it. I figured it's got Adam Driver. He's looking after a little girl, so it's Dadam Driver, and you have dinosaurs. I'm like, sold. Even if it's bad, it's going to be good. Boy, was I wrong.
Oof. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, it was rough. There was a lot of 2023 movies that didn't work for me and that I didn't like, but I wasn't excited for a lot of them. These were kind of like a bummer.
I think the only other one I'd have is one that was frustrating, and this was in part my own fault because it was one of those things where I'd read the book, really liked the book, wanted to see how they did the movie, was open to changes in the movie.
Yep.
But the change that is made in terms of plot is so thematically against what the book is doing that it really pissed me off, and that was the novel Cabin at the End of the World, the movie A Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan. And again, like, it's well done. Like, M. Night Shyamalan knows how to make a good-looking movie. Cast is great. David Bautista's great. It's a good adaptation for the first hour 15. and then it makes a decision that just is one of those things where I don't know, had I come to it without having read the book, I might have felt differently. I think I still would have been disagreeing with what the movie was saying. But it's very odd to where the movie almost feels Christian, whereas the book feels atheist. Mm-hmm. And there's just, it's a weird dichotomy if you fall on the other side of it. So that was the one that for me was just a bummer, because it really had potential to be an this is going well, this is going, oh. And just thematically, it really bothered me. The more I have thought through what the plot choice meant for the material, I think it really does undermine what Paul Tremblay did as a novelist. So didn't care for that.
I know a lot of people are really unhappy with it from that perspective. I didn't really have knowledge of the book, but yeah, I found the movie underwhelming, a little confusing moralistically. Like didn't know what I was supposed to be getting out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Should we go back to older watches or movies that came out much longer ago than 2022/3?
Yeah, I have a couple of those.
Me too. Let me hear some of yours.
I will start, I guess, by trying to pick a couple that I don't think I talked about here.
Ooh.
I finally watched She Dies Tomorrow.
I still have not watched that.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, I remember starting it, like, I remember it was, like, not early in pandemic, but early enough in pandemic where it was still sort of
so upsetting.
Claustrophobia still setting in. Mm-hmm. And I started watching it, and I was maybe 5 minutes in and decided, I kind of know enough about this movie to know that I should not watch this right now.
Good move.
Oh, yeah,
for sure. Yeah. It made me, so I loved it, but, like, it made me upset. I will rewatch it again, though, because it's not that kind of upset, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
It also gave me big, like, climate collapse feelings. Like, I don't know, there was just something about it felt, like, bigger than, like, it felt like a big social statement, and that's how I applied it, I guess.
Nice.
So I enjoyed that. If you get a chance, it's a recommend. I watched Shiva Baby.
Okay. That's the same team behind Bottoms.
That's why I was there, because I love Bottoms so much. And Rachel Sennett, I don't know if I'm saying
that sounds right.
Yeah. So she's in Bodies, and that I think that.
Oh, she's so funny in Bodies.
She's my favorite thing.
She's the best. Yeah.
I think that's the first time I became aware of her.
Virgo.
It's a Libra moon.
Libra moon. That's it. Yes.
I'm a Libra moon. That's why I remember. But I watched Shiva Baby. It's perfect. Nice. Everything everybody said about it is true. It's amazing. It was a lot of people's favorite movie the year it came out, which might have been 2022.
I think so.
But it was fantastic. So,
nice.
Yeah. And I have a couple other ones, but I don't know if you want to jump in.
So I'll go in like back order. Oh yeah, no, mine go from like 50s to somethings. Okay. So yeah, a few. All right, I'll start with the older one. So I feel like I've thought about the fashion in this movie so many times since I've watched it. Fulci's The Psychic. Giallo. It is on Canopy, I believe. At different times, it was also on Shudder at one point, but I know it's still on Canopy. It is, and again, Lucio Fulci is my favorite Italian director. I know people die for Argento. I'm Team Fulci. And the thing about Fulci was, like, he could make good movies. And The Psychic is a good mystery. It's Jennifer O'Neill, I think, is the lead. And apparently, like, the rule was she was going to wear a different outfit in every scene. And it's like 1970s Italian. She's rich and she just looks amazing every time. And it's good. It's a good story. It has a good twist and ending. And I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah. You know me. It's still a huge gap. I have not seen that movie.
That's okay. One that I know you have seen, because this is definitely one that most movie people had seen. And that is Alfred Hitchcock's Rope.
Oh, yeah. I do love Rope.
Yeah. I had never seen it. Just one of those, never thought to sit down and watch it. And Brad and I watched it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's really something. It's one of those, like, I had forgotten even that there was the gimmick of sort of one shot. Like, I never even thought about that watching it.
Because it's really done. I mean, it's a thing. Zach and I talk about it a lot. Like, when it's such a easy, I don't want to, I'm trying to pick my words. It's a lot easier to do than when Hitchcock did it. And I feel like people do it now and they don't do it for real strong narrative storytelling reasons.
Right. They do it to show off.
It bums me out because it's a really good storytelling device in my opinion. And so I get super jazzed when like it's really well executed. And of course this is like the thing that everybody points to.
Because this is just great acting and great writing. So it just feels like I'm watching. I just thought of it as a play, is how it played to me.
Yeah, it falls away. Yep. Yeah, you don't look for it. Because like there's creative cuts and stuff. That's, you know, people always talk about that. The first time I watched it, I forgot to continue to look for it. I just stopped looking for it.
I was so into it that I wasn't. And that's the sign of your gimmick is working because I'm not distracted by it.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
We did a Sigourney Weaver catch up and stuff, so I had watched a bunch of Sigourney Weaver movies, and two that were fabulous, and I finally watched for the first time. Copycat, 1996's, right? 96, 95?
I cannot believe that you had not seen this.
No, I thought remember because I thought In Dreams and Copycat were one and the same this entire time.
It's just in my head for some reason. It's, you know, I think friend of the show Jason is a fan of Copycat, but it's just such a formative movie for me, and we're so similar in so many ways that it just feels like obviously you would have been deeply affected by Sigourney Weaver and Harry Connick Jr.
God, yes, and Holly Hunter,
Oh, so good.
And it's funny too because my entire life I have often, even though I find Harry Connick Jr. incredibly sexy, I have always confused when I look at pictures of him and Dermot Mulroney. I always get the two confused, and yet I don't find Dermot Mulroney sexy. It's a weird thing, but and they're both in this movie, so I'm like, oh, is this the origin of my confusion? No, because I didn't see this for all these years. So,
and you loved it though.
Of course I did. Yeah, it's just, and it was that exact sort of like cementing of something that we've talked about a lot of. Not just like, oh, the 90s knew how to make studio films. Like, sure, kind of. But there was this sense, and when I watched the movie that you had liked, that nobody else liked but you and me, You Should Have Left, the Amanda Seyfried and Kevin Bacon movie, where it felt like the same type of movie as Copycat, where here is a not big budget, but like budgeted movie with A-list actors, but they're not playing themselves, like they're personas. Like this is actually a script that was not, you know, that was developed, that was made, that a good director took and made a good movie out of. And it's adult themed. It's, you know, things happen. It's rated R, but it's not, you know, crossing lines that you expect from a lot of the stuff we watch. Like there's something really satisfying about a good professionally made studio movie. And Copycat is such a good example of that.
Yep.
Yeah. And Working Girl, of course. It's just Working Girl.
Oh, God. Working Girl.
God.
I recently saw Working Girl for the first time, maybe last year, or like 2022, last year. And I loved it too. Yeah.
I had three more in mind. What else do you have?
I have a couple that I just want to put back into the universe because I've already talked about them here. One of them you already mentioned is Duel.
Yeah.
Dismissed, which is the movie with one of the Sprouse boys in it. I believe it's Dylan Sprouse, but it's very ridiculous and about a teen boy who's manipulating people around him.
It's very good. I watched it thinking I was watching a Lifetime movie years ago and found it so satisfying.
So good.
Yeah.
The Manor is...
I still have not watched it. Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. I keep meaning to get to it.
Axel Carolyn
directed
it, I think. Phenomenal. And it's truly, if you are at all like Emily and like varied casts with different peoples of different ages in it, fantastic. Another one is Grand Piano, which came out in 2013, and it stars Elijah Wood and John Cusack.
I know nothing about this. You must have talked about it, but...
No.
Oh, Damien Chazelle writing.
It is phenomenal.
Ooh. Oh, okay. A pianist with stage fright endures a performance under the eyes of a mysterious sniper who will shoot and kill him if a wrong note is played.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm into it.
So, please, if you trust me at all, everyone, please, these movies are so good. I promise you. And then another one I wanted to mention again is Dark Angel, aka I Come in Peace, which is a Dolph Lundgren sci-fi movie.
Nice.
And then The Fourth Floor, which is the Juliette Lewis
that is on
movie.
Tubi.
I believe it is available to watch for free.
Okay, I keep meaning to and keep forgetting.
I've tried to recommend ones that I knew maybe where they were. So that
Grand Piano is on Amazon Prime, everybody.
Okay, I knew I saw it somewhere. That was accessible because I use somebody's Amazon Prime.
So some great, amazing person's Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but Dark Angel, I think maybe is the only one I don't know where it is. But like they should be accessible, and they're good movies. I promise.
Nice. Very nice. I believe you. I believe you on all of these. A few more that I had. One, and this was a movie that I just has been in the zeitgeist for a long time. That was really influential. That something that we're big fans of, calls back to it a lot. But I had never sat down and watched Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Oh, it's been honestly like 20 years.
You should rewatch it because I think it is fascinating to watch today. Because some of the language has aged differently. Like there are certain words we don't use that we used in the 90s and that queer people used in the 90s. And again, the casting of 3 straight cis men as drag queens, and in one case a transgendered person, you wouldn't do that today, but it is so good. The 3 of them are incredible. And especially, I mean, what's his name? Not Guy Pearce. I say this every time. Yes, Guy Pearce. I was going to say not Russell Crowe, the other one, but no, Guy Pearce, who is so electrifying. It's very, I don't want to say it's ahead of its time because it was its time. Like it absolutely was this community in this movie. And it is iconic, I guess is the best way to say it. And it's wonderful. And it holds up to sit down and watch. You will feel satisfied having done that. And even though there is, it is not entirely positive, like it leaves you feeling good. And I think that's important. And then 2 Japanese movies that are on my list this year. One was, because I remember I had my my Netflix disc rush through of making sure I watched a lot of discs before, Netflix threw them all into a, ET tunnel somewhere. So Tokyo Sonata, which is the Kurosawa, not Akira, the other Kurosawa. And it is haunting and strange and felt a little bit like a slightly less cruel Michael Haneke movie. It was very unsettling. Good stuff. And then the other one, which was probably my favorite movie that I discovered this past year, and that is Tampopo.
All right. Have you talked about this already?
I talked a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, on one of the catch-ups, I definitely mentioned it. It's the ramen western, the spaghetti western comedy food movie.
Yeah, with Ken Watanabe.
Yes, he has a small part in it.
I wrote it down.
It's on Criterion now, so you can watch it.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is. Okay. I bought, there was a Criterion sale, like there's always the sale, but a couple of weeks ago, because we have a 4K now, so I was like, oh, you know what? I always let the sale go by. I'm not going to let the sale go by this time. I'm going to pick up a few movies. And this was one of the ones that I got, because I'm like, I want to have this, because I know I want to go back to it. But it is on streaming on Criterion, and it is so strange. It is very funny in very odd ways. It is kind of, I mean, it's almost like a sketch, like it's almost sketch after sketch, where like the theme is basically food and a love of food. And again, there is a storyline. The storyline is a trucker drives into town, and there's a woman running a ramen shop, and she can't make good ramen, and he decides he's going to teach her how to do it. And it's done like an old Western, except intermixed in all of this, there are gangsters, there are manners classes, and all of these random like vignettes about like food and loving food. And for me, as somebody who loves food and loves cooking, like it is just porn. And I mean, there's also a lot of sex in there, so yeah, it is porn. This movie is fantastic, and I can't wait to watch it again.
Oh yeah. It in the synopsis that I saw, I think described it as like what's that word I'm looking for? Vignettes.
Yes.
I think, and maybe it was the IMDb thing, and I was like, oh, that's not what I expected at all.
Yep. This movie is not going to be what you expect. It is so unusual in the best of ways.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Yep.
What a fun pull. That's great.
It's been a good year, you know?
Yeah.
Good year for movies that were made 40 years ago.
Exactly, because that's something that I really had to focus on, because I think in one of the last like recap shows we did, I was super bummed about like a huge block of newer stuff that I had watched. But like, if the newer stuff isn't working for me, I don't know that I care, because there's so much other stuff. Like even like Grand Piano from 2013. Yeah. There's so much older, even if we're not talking like the 80s or the 50s or something. Yep. You can just go back to the 2010s and there's stuff we missed. So like, I don't know. Yeah.
I guarantee you have, it's something I do a lot with like books, where I'll find an author I love and I just think, I just want to read everything by them. And then I have to stop myself for two reasons. One, when you read something, especially even more so in books than movies, because that is all kind of the brain and mind of one person. And when you stay too close in their world, it becomes less special, because very few authors can write completely different books from one to the other. So you start to say, every one of this author's books are kind of the same. And so you need space. And also I always kind of have this weird thing of never always wanting to know that there's more out there I haven't experienced. You know, I do that with books a lot, where it's like, oh, this author only has 5 books. Well, I'm not going to read that 5th book until I'm in my 50s or something.
Yeah,
and I do that sometimes with movies.
I think that's great.
Yeah. Because I haven't seen every Hitchcock movie. I haven't seen every Paul Verhoeven movie. So I can always find a Paul Verhoeven movie I haven't seen and experience it for the first time. And there's something very special about that.
It's the only way to do it. Yeah. And that's so true what you said about books. For me it's less when books, but when I get into reading fanfic a lot, sometimes since it is like, you know, free and widely available and everybody can write it, you do get varying quality. And sometimes it's not even just like, oh, I don't like this, it's just not for me, you know? So when you find somebody that works, it's very hard to not be like, well, I'm going to read all 7 million of the words that they've written, because you're right. After a while, you're like, oh, they just do the same. It's just, you need that variation to realize sometimes just how much something's working for you.
I agree. Yeah. Now on TV, did you have you didn't have anything TV the past year?
I watched all of Riverdale in like 3 months. So I don't know. Riverdale? I don't remember. I don't feel like I watch a lot of like
new TV
stuff. I mean, I watched Yellow Jackets, right? And that was fine. And I watched all of Riverdale. I don't know. I don't have anything.
Did you watch House of Usher?
I didn't like it.
Oh, I loved it so much. That's my pick of the year.
Oh, yeah. The last season of Riverdale that I didn't like was my pick of the year. Yeah. House of Usher just didn't work for me. Did we talk about it already?
And we didn't. No. I think I had just started it when we last spoke. So it was like, I think you very kindly said, I'll wait till you finish to talk. So now I finished. So talk.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it, because it's never my intent or goal for people to dislike things. Yes. So it's super, super rad that it worked. I didn't get it. It didn't connect. I thought it was heavy-handed when it shouldn't have been. I thought I didn't know if I was supposed to think it was goofy or I didn't understand the tone, I guess. And a lot of the performances were really big and broad. So somebody could hear me say that and be like, hey, that's the point. And I would be like, okay, well, maybe in 3 years I'll get it. But like where I live now, I did not understand it. And I didn't understand the appeal.
And for me, I totally get that. And I think all I knew going in was that, because I was careful not to know too much, because I didn't want anything spoiled. I didn't want to be like leaning or looking for something. Yep. So I think I had like read one thing that basically said, there is no redemption here. Everybody is awful. And as opposed to like very much like, I think Mike Flanagan's, a lot of his properties are very about humans connecting and about kindness and about finding redemption and kind of making good. And, you know, that's what Midnight Mass is. That was the other one, that's the not House on Haunted Hill, Hill House. Like, it's very much about relationships and about, you know, like, no, like be a better person and be better to the people around you. And so I knew going into it that this was not that. And so very quickly, and the first, not so much the first episode, I was kind of like, okay, I don't know where we're going. But the second episode, which I think is the Mask of Red Death, where it was like very clear of, oh no, this is just, to me, this is almost black comedy. Not black, I wouldn't call it comedy, but it felt like, no, you are going to be allowed to snicker at this. And I don't always enjoy watching terrible things happen to terrible people, but I loved watching it in this scenario where I liked the cast. I don't watch Succession, but I assume this is just like Succession as a horror story, where it was just everybody is awful. They're all, and even that they weren't good at what they did, I thought was also like this added joy upon it, where it's like, oh, it's not even that they're great business people. Like they're all just rich and have done nothing to earn what they have or help the world. So I don't feel bad about what's going to happen to them. And the fun of seeing how it happened to them, for me, I was satisfied after every episode. But
it makes me happy that it worked for so many people, because it did. It did, yeah. I completely get it. And for me, this has kind of been growing, the diminishing Flanagan returns, which makes me really sad. Like, I didn't even finish. You literally just said it.
Midnight Mass?
No, I finished Midnight Mass and I was fine with Midnight Mass.
I liked Midnight Mass, yeah.
Yeah, like I was good with it. And like everybody's complaints about the long monologues, I'm not lodging that complaint. I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with it. I think occasionally the wrong actors are doing it, but
that's fair. Bly Manor is what I'm looking for.
He didn't write Bly Manor. He produced it. He was not overly involved in it.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it, so we bailed. And then
that was my least favorite so far.
Yeah, but I liked Midnight Mass. I thought it was okay. It was fine. But like, we're going from like, hey, Oculus changed my life, to like, I don't connect to this at all. So it's I'm on a strange journey myself, because there was a point in time where I considered him to be like maybe one of my favorite modern creatives, and like, I don't know. I think maybe we've diverged.
Sure. Well, I think he's doing Dark Tower now, which for me is so disappointing, because I'm like, oh, so that's like your next 10 years of your life.
Well, this is like when they gave Rian Johnson a Star War, and I was like, what are you doing? I'm never going to see you again. And then like, but I did see him again, and it all worked out.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of interested in the Dark Tower stuff.
Did you read them?
I read the first one.
Okay. I never did, because it just seemed daunting. Like, if you read one, you have to read 7.
It is extremely daunting, and to be honest with you, it was something that I was going to try to do, but I couldn't keep up with it, because I did find it too daunting. Like, it wasn't fun, and I don't like to read in a laborious manner. Like, reading is supposed to be fun.
Yep.
But maybe he'll do something cool with it, because I truly do believe that Mike Flanagan is the only one that can adapt Stephen King in a way that I like.
That's fair. He's done a very good job so far. Very good point.
So I guess that's why I'm excited. Like, maybe he can give it to me in a palatable way.
Nice. On the subject of books, I don't think you had any. Did you have any books to recommend or any good reads this year?
I read a lot of nonfiction, like about allergies.
Ah.
And about growing crops in the desert, so not really.
My nonfiction go-to is just nautical exploration.
Ooh, love that.
That is the one nonfiction, no matter what. If you have a book about Henry Hudson, I will read that book about Henry Hudson. If it is about anything else and it is not fiction, I am less interested.
That's fascinating. I do not know that I knew that.
Yeah, I had a really good 5th grade teacher who made explorers sound really cool, and it has stayed with me my whole life, and I just really enjoy books about that. So
I love that.
Yeah. I had a few that I'm just going to throw out there, just that you might enjoy, and as well as some of our listeners. On the so the only like nonfiction or like memoir. This is an old book because it's from like 1996 probably. But I'm a big used bookstore like person. If I'm in a used bookstore, I will spend more money than I should and come out with boxes that I now have no room for in my apartment. And one of the bookstores I was at recently, they had 2 copies of this book. I'm like, you know what? Why not try it? And it was Cameron Manheim's, like memoir from when she was. It was written when she was on The Practice.
I remember when that came out.
Wake Up, I'm Fat.
Yep.
It is amazing that this book was written in the 90s, because you read it today and like, I don't know about you. Like, I did not know the term body positivity until probably like 5 years ago. And this book is very much that. It is her basically talking about, being a young woman, being an actress, being big, and how she had to come to, like, just, her journey with all of that. And it is really funny. It is really refreshing. And the entire time you have to keep reminding yourself, and it's the 90s. Like, when we were at our worst to anybody, like, she was on a David E. Kelly show, who was infamous for finding the skinniest women he could and making stars out of them. But she became a star back then. And it was just such, like, an exuberating read. So if your used bookstore has a copy, I highly recommend it.
That's interesting. I've been reading a lot of old articles from like the early 2010s from just actor profiles and stuff. And I have found it really fascinating to see how much things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really thought about grabbing like an old like biography or like that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Little time capsules, huh?
Very much, very much. And it's so, it's dated in the very specific way. She's talking about going to the Emmys and hanging out with Lara Flynn Boyle. And, like, so many little things. Like, she talks about, like, Andre Braugher was a good friend of hers. Like, there's so many, and it's not name dropping. Like, it's very much just people that were in her circle because she was not Juilliard, but I think like one of those schools. It might have been Juilliard. I forget. Oh gosh, there was somebody. It wasn't Mark Shaman. It was like another since then very prominent like gay writer director who was like her friend back then. Like there's so much that you're reading, and it does really feel like you're like peeking into backstage at an era that you weren't allowed in. But it's also it's refreshing. It's very funny, and high recommend. There's probably others like that out there. I'm not always a big celebrity memoir person just because of a lot of different reasons. I don't always find the writing that great, or if it is, then I think, but that's because somebody else wrote it. But this was really, really a fun read.
That's interesting. Now I have a new thing to look for at used bookstores.
Do it. And then on fiction, just a couple of things I'd throw out there. One was a new book that came out this year that was just a really interesting read, was Land of Milk and Honey by C. Pam Zhang. Sort of just slight futuristic, not sci-fi, a little sci-fi, but really just a world where basically food has kind of gone bad, so there's very limited access to fresh food. And the narrator is a chef who ends up on this like colony where things are being like sort of like they found ways to grow things, but they're not sharing it with the people. And there's just a lot there, and it was a really rich read for me, so I recommend that. And then a book of short stories by an author I didn't know and I need to learn more about, named Kim Fu, Lesser Known Monsters of the 21st Century. Just some very, they range, some are a little horror, some are sci-fi. They're very human. The first story I was not prepared for was an emotional sort of world where you can have somebody be somebody that's dead for you for a day. Some very heavy stuff, but really, really rich reading. And author I discovered, and this will lead a little bit into some of the things we're looking forward to, I think. I'm curious if you have read any of her stuff. I don't know how to say her last name, so I'll try, but Otessa Moshfegh? I
don't think so, but is it that one movie?
Eileen.
Yeah, I just watched it yesterday.
Oh, okay. So yeah, she's a novelist who wrote
I
Eileen.
knew that name sounded familiar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I feel like she kind of writes like a mean girl, if that makes sense.
I love that.
Her books, her characters are so mean or gross or awful, but they're really like you can't put them down. And I was looking and realized I think I read 4 of her books this past year, and I loved all of them. And she just has this very like I read like an interview with her where she sounded like somebody that would not be like I would not want to be waiting on her at a table or be her like lab partner. But her writing is so just without like how to say it, like not without restraint, but just her characters just will say what you don't think anybody should ever be saying, kind of thing, and I love it.
That's fun.
So just an author that I really enjoy and I look forward to seeing more from. So on that note, one of the things I'm looking forward to is watching Eileen when it comes to Amazon, I think. What did you think of it?
Oh, I loved it.
Nice.
I really loved it. I don't know anything about the book, so I can't like compare and contrast
Sure.
or anything. But I thought it was fantastic. It was
That's exciting.
It was exploitative enough. It was gay enough. It was weird enough. It was really fun.
Oh, awesome. That makes me very excited. I know she co-wrote the screenplay, so that also...
Yes.
And I think she even has said, like... And I know... Because a big part of the book is that it is narrated from the future. So the narrator, who is Eileen, is telling you stuff, so you know certain things about her. You know, like, her fate. And I know she has said, like, the author has said, oh yeah, when I wrote the script, I didn't know. That's not there because you're not going to know. And I make big changes. And I'm like, ooh, I love hearing that. So
that's cool. Yeah, it's cool when the original writer is involved in the screenwriting, because you write a story and it fits in the novel, and then to do a screenplay is something different. So for her to have the chance to truly adapt it and make it work in that format might be one of the reasons why I thought it worked so well. Yeah,
you should read the book out of curiosity to do like, maybe we should do like a eventually book movie thing, because we'll have different experiences with it, where you read it after and vice versa. So.
I'll see if I can get it on audio. I looked through my Libby app real quick. I will say I did listen to the audio book for Sliver, the Ira Levin book that then became that Sharon Stone movie.
Fascinating.
That was really fun because the book is completely different than the movie.
Nice. No Baldwin?
It's not at all the way it is played in that movie. And I'm fascinated with that movie.
Yes. No, I get it. That is something of a movie.
That book is weird. But speaking of book and movie correlations.
Oh, yeah.
So that's very exciting. And you can watch that movie soon, right? You'll watch the Eileen? Is that what it's
Eileen,
called?
Yes. Yes, it is now rentable on Apple. So I thought it wasn't going to be like an Amazon A24, but I'm not sure yet. But yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like $20 rental.
Yeah, currently it's a rental on Apple. So
I just was super jazzed.
Nice.
I couldn't wait.
So what are some things you're looking forward to in 2024?
So this list is it doesn't even need to be made. Like, because if we're being real, I'm only excited about one thing. And that one thing comes out in about a month. And that would be Lisa Frankenstein.
What is Lisa Frankenstein?
Lisa Frankenstein is the Diablo Cody written movie that's set in the late 80s, starring Katherine Newton and Cole Sprouse. It is basically like she made a fucking movie for me again. I'm so excited.
Oh, that is. And it's Katherine Newton.
Yeah, Cole Sprouse is like, okay, so Cole Sprouse is Jughead from Riverdale, if people don't know.
I didn't.
But he is so handsome, and he's playing like the corpse of like an old gothic handsome lord kind of guy.
Nice.
So he's all old timey and dead, and it's really amazing. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, fun! I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah, I've never felt more catered to in my life. I can't wait.
So I have a few movies I'm looking forward to. Most of them are movies that are like technically, I guess, 2023 because they were all like Oscar-y releases that just aren't going to be available yet. But Eileen is one. The Zone of Interest.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
I feel like such a monster for being really excited about a Holocaust movie, but it is Jonathan Glazer.
Oh, I do know what this is. I didn't know that's what it was called. Okay.
Yes. So it's I have heard enough, and it's what's her name? The same musician or composer who did the score for Under the Skin also did the score for this movie. So for that alone, like I really am excited just to hear the score for it. But I feel like it will be a lot watch, but it's one that I'm excited for because I'm dark and twisted that way. I'm looking. I don't know that I'll get to a theater for it, but I am excited to see how The Color Purple, the musical, turned out. I like that we are getting musicals. We should, if all goes to plan, we should have part 1 of Wicked, the movie, this year. Ugh. And I, for one, am very excited by that.
I'm so glad you're excited.
Hey, I saw Wicked in previews. I was
Oh, gee.
My favorite book for like all of my adolescence was Wicked. And then 5 years later, they're making a Broadway musical out of my book. And as a young person in New York, this was just everything hitting me at once. So I have a lot of investment in Wicked as a property. And I don't know yet how I fully feel about this because I didn't know it was happening. But did you know there is another Planet of the Apes movie on its way?
Yeah, I did.
How are you feeling about that?
I have a complex relationship with those movies. I actually think I might really like them. I find them deeply upsetting.
Yeah.
The anthropomorphization of poor animals is something that I have a real hard time with.
I did not want to see that first one forever because all of the previews, everything I saw, I was like, oh, this just looks like it's a nice monkey who's then going to be mistreated. And I was so similar, terrified to actually watch it. And then I did, and it's such a good franchise.
Yeah, I do like it. But when you get into when there's a Steve Zahn monkey, if you know that.
Yeah, I think that was the last one, I think.
It's too much. It's very similar to making me watch Android or sentient robot type shit. I can't do it. I don't know. There's an implied innocence to something like an ape or a chimp or something that just with a robot. I don't know. It's too much for my empathy button.
I get it.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it because I have seen them all.
It's the guy who did the Maze Runner series, and I think that series kind of goes off the rails. But that first movie's great, where I think this is the right guy to give a Planet of the Apes movie to.
Yeah.
Are there any? Is there any television you're looking for?
Oh no, I have a ton of other movies.
Oh, let me hear them.
So I did my little research, my little tippy tap research on the computer. So Strangers Chapter 1. Do you know about there's going to be 3 new Strangers movies from Rennie Harlan.
Wait, what should I know this already? What is this thing? What are we talking about?
So you know The Strangers?
Oh, Strangers, The Strangers. Yeah. Yes, I don't know why,
No.
Okay, totally. Okay, if you had said The Strangers, I might have been like, oh yeah, The Strangers.
Sorry.
As opposed to just Strangers. Those could be any strangers, Christine.
You're right.
That's
The
exciting.
Strangers. So it's supposed to be 3 movies, and I guess they're in the same universe as the original The Strangers.
I'm into it.
And if you're a Riverdale head like me, Cheryl from Riverdale is in it. So I'm super excited for that. There's also a new Bong Joon-ho movie called Mickey 17.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, the cast on it is enough for me to be super interested. It's Robert Pattinson,
Mark Ruffalo,
Tony
Collette.
Yeah, Stephen Yeun, I think. So then there's this. We haven't talked about it yet because we haven't done a proper recap. But I finally watched Men, the Alex Garland movie.
Yeah.
I had been putting it off because I have a really complex relationship with Alex Garland. So he has a new movie called Civil War coming out.
Oh yes, he does.
I did not like Men at all, but he has made movies that I feel have changed my life. So I'm very okay, I guess.
I was mixed on. Men didn't fully work for me, but I admired the chance it took. I don't think it all worked, but I was like, and I like that Alex Garland, who has had, an interesting career and starting as a writer and so on and so on. I like that he is being weird and is kind of just going further with that. So, for those reasons, I'm in.
Yeah, I liked that too. I think I ended up giving it a 2.5 out of 5 because while I didn't enjoy it on any level, I understood it. I got it. It just wasn't for me. Another big budget, action-packed film that I'm really excited for that will probably really disappoint me is Argylle. Have you heard of this one?
So I don't know the universe of the Kingsman at all. I've never seen any of these movies, but I know this is from the point of view of a cat? Something that has to do with a cat, right?
So there is a cat in it, I believe. I don't know a ton about it, but it's Matthew Vaughn, but I don't think it's in the Kingsman universe. But it doesn't matter.
Maybe? Oh. Huh.
But the plot that I gleaned was that it was about a spy novelist whose books are too much like actual spy stuff. So they use her to do spy stuff, which reminds me of Spy, the movie Spy. I don't know. Is it in the? Now I'm looking.
I don't know. I feel like they. I just saw a trailer for it, and I thought they said Kingsman. Why did I think there was a cat in here?
I think there is a cat. Okay. But in Sophia Boutella, I don't know if I'm saying that right either. Mm-hmm. She's in it, and she's also in the Kingsman universe as a different character. So,
and they don't list who she's playing, so it's hard to know if she's the same character. We will find out, I suppose.
Maybe it is in the Kingsman universe, and I just assumed it wasn't.
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know. I'll watch it. There's enough of an interesting premise that I'm like. What do you think about Nosferatu? You jazzed for that?
I was, because I'll watch anything. What's his face does? Yeah, Robert. Roger? What is his name again?
That one guy.
The guy. The Vavitch guy.
I honestly can't think of his name right now either. Robert Eggers?
Eggers, that's it. Okay. Yes, I will watch anything he does. I was really excited when it was Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't know much about Lily Rose Depp, but that doesn't excite me as much. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen anything on it. I'll wait to I still haven't watched The Northman, actually, now that I say that out loud. But yeah, so I don't know, excited. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll wait to hear consensus on that one, probably.
Yeah. I know people are super jazzed, and it's like a lot of people's top. I think I'm interested, but like similar to you, I don't.
With reservations.
Yeah, like I'm not, again, like Lisa Frankenstein is what's getting me through my days. I don't feel that way about Nosferatu.
Got
it. Also, what about Furiosa? How are you feeling about Furiosa? Speaking about.
That's an excellent question, because I love Mad Max Fury Road. I am somebody that was so gung-ho when it came out, and the sheen on that one has not fallen off for me. I know, it's on TV all the time. There are people who declared it the best movie of all time, and then, that is it overrated? Like, no. Mad Max Fury Road is to me joy. Do I want to see Anya Taylor-Joy in a whole movie of a future of it? I think I was excited when it was announced, and then I was I think I'm just so tired of property. So the idea of, oh, here's a thing you loved. Okay, now I'm not saying let's milk it as in, oh, a studio is trying to make money. Like, of course they are. It's what they do. It's what movies are. Movies are made to make money. It's more did I need another Mad Max, or do I want George Miller doing something else crazy? Would I prefer another Babe 2? And I watched the trailer, and there was a part of me that was getting, my body was buzzing, but also I was like, I don't know. So I don't know. I'm I just wish there was something else that all that energy was being put into, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I feel differently than you.
Okay, good.
I really don't. I feel like I should be 10 times more excited than I actually am. I feel a lot of caution and trepidation. Yeah. And then my final one is a movie that nobody knows Dune's coming out. I'll probably watch that. Rebel Moon 2's coming out. I'll probably watch that because I watched the first one. There's a new Alien, but also we don't know anything about it, but there's going to be a new Jordan Peele movie. I'm excited about that.
That's right. Yeah. I forget where you land on it, but where did you ultimately go on Nope?
Utter masterpiece. It? Yeah. I don't know if I like it as much as Get Out, but I think I like it more than Us.
Yeah.
I
didn't like Nope at all. Now let me preface that with, because so many people who I absolutely adore and respect have said, no, this is his best movie. And I can see all of those points. And when somebody explains what it's about and, all of this, I'm like, yeah, that's all there. But I was just really bored watching it. And it's still, I have not gone back to it. I'm curious if maybe I need to just give that another watch and see if it lands differently. But it was one where it just felt very much of, yeah, I am just not on the same wavelength here, but it's well made, looks great, good performances, everything else, but I am very bored and it keeps going. So I'm very intrigued to see what direction he's going in next.
Yeah, definitely me too, because they've obviously not been the same movie in any way.
No, and I love that. Yeah.
I really do. Too. I get what you're saying about Us. I definitely liked it more the more I saw it. Which is fun. I like movies like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally get it. If it's not hitting for you though, like I bail and go watch something else, you know, like I keep trying to like figure out movies, and like, especially when a lot of other people like them, like maybe I'm not getting it, but
yeah,
maybe you are getting it and you're just not working.
Sometimes, yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, but I am excited for this one. So who even knows what it's going to be.
Totally, yeah.
I was thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it was like a vampire movie, or like Jordan Peele's Zombies, or
I would be all for that.
Or like time travel. Like, who even fucking knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that is very cool about him is we have no idea what he's going to do, and that's exciting.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I don't want, somebody as creative as George Miller to do the same thing he did 10 years ago.
Over and over. Yeah.
But yeah, so those are all the movies you're looking forward to?
I'd say so. There's a ton of like horror movies that I don't know anything about coming out, so that's always going to be funny. Yeah, fun. There's a new Omen. There's a Witchboard. There's something called The Watchers, directed by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter.
Okay. It is crazy that there is only now a remake of Witchboard.
Yeah. Also, I thought Witchboard was supposed to be way hornier than it was. I was disappointed.
The whole thing about Witchboard is that it's really a story of like male friendship and love.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, but like it wasn't the horny movie that I was expecting.
You were watching the wrong movie. I think Witchboard 2 might be hornier, but the first Witchboard is very much like actually about the relationship between the two men. Which
again is actually super fascinating. Yes. I just recently semi-recently watched it. I'm trying to see what I rated it. But yeah, lots of movies coming out now that we're back from our strikes.
Yes.
Things will start moving, I think.
And we have a Summer Olympics at that, Christine.
That's true. I'm sure it's not the Winter Olympics. So
it's not, so there's no figure skating, but do you know about the new sport introduced this year in the Olympics?
No. What could it possibly be?
Okay, Christine, I think you can figure this out. So, all right, think of my favorite genres of movies.
Okay. Is there a musical category?
Kind of.
Oh, is it like a dance one?
Mm-hmm. They are, for the first time, the 2024 Summer Olympics will have breakdancing.
That's actually really interesting.
How cool is that? And I know, people out there are like, that's not a sport. Well, again, yes, there are apparently criteria for how to judge different events. There are worldwide events. There is, solo, there is pairs, there is team, and so on. There are, I guess, how many moves you make in a certain amount of time. There are ways of actually measuring it. And what is also fascinating is you assume, breakdancing is, a pretty American thing, that, is this going to be, one of those sports that gets introduced and Americans win? No. Apparently, nobody expects the Americans to even medal, because other countries have taken it and have done so much more with it. And, I have never seen Japanese breakdancing, but I'm gonna this summer at the Olympics.
Yeah, for some reason in my head, the French are going to be really good at that.
The French tend to be really weird in anything choreographically, so I feel you could be right, and I'll totally be there for it.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's my big summer TV is going to be the Olympics. And yeah.
We talked about, so TV is just, I don't know if I'm not dialed in or if I don't get excited for things anymore because I don't watch them when they happen. Yeah. But my only TV, and we're on the same page when we talked earlier, it was the new True Detective, because Issa Lopez is running the whole season. It was her season.
It's her season, baby. I have not watched any True Detective. I haven't seen season 1, 2, or 3. My understanding is you don't need to have seen any season to watch the next season, that they're completely unrelated. And
Correct.
this is the lady season. It's Issa Lopez, starring Jodie Foster.
Mm-hmm.
And who's the other person in there?
Shit, I don't remember.
It's like somebody really cool, and I can't think of who it is.
No, it is. It is. I think I can look it up fast.
Let's see if I can look it up faster.
Oh my God, I just forgot what the show is called. True Detective.
So, True Detective, and it is... Wait, is this going to be this? No,
I know.
Damn it.
You have to, it's the seasons.
Yeah, you have to click on the season, so you are going to beat me to it. Damn. Okay. Wait,
Callie
no.
Reyes? Is that... She was born in Providence, Rhode Island.
Hey!
Fellow Rhode Island gal.
Nice. I am unable to figure out how to use IMDb because they changed it again on me. Ooh, John Hawkes.
Yeah.
Fiona Shaw. Yeah, that's looking good.
I'm excited for it.
I'm pretty excited about this, and it's the only TV that I'm looking forward to, I think.
For real, I have like, I'm ready to watch it. I've been talking to my mom about it constantly. Like, we're geared up.
It's also set in Alaska, and I like a cold weather thing.
Snowy shit is so fun to watch.
Blood on snow, baby, blood on snow.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Yes. I'm sure other stuff will pop up as the year goes on, but I don't know. I'm just not like as dialed in, I guess, as I used to be.
It's harder for TV because, it used to be you had seasons, you had you knew when things were coming out, and that is completely in the window, especially with the strike, everything's delayed. There are shows that I still don't know if they have been canceled or not. So there's always that, but I think we'll get another Poker Face season at some point this year.
Mm-hmm, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm up for that. But yeah, it's movies and books for me, I guess. The only the one book I use Goodreads a lot, so just as things come available, I get them. But the one book that I'm really excited about coming in February is A Figure Skater Has a New Memoir, and figure skating memoirs tend to be very juicy because you don't always get that. So it's Gracie Gold's book, and Gracie Gold has had quite a career and quite a lot of public dealing with mental health, dealing with different aspects of figure skating and how awful it is. So that's going to be fun and juicy and probably very sad.
That's exciting. Yeah, I don't have anything I'm looking forward to.
Well, go to an old used bookstore, find Cameron Manheim's book.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to pare down because I'm of a multi-state move. Yeah. So I'm trying, I guess maybe that is part of it. So I'll give myself a break. I'm really trying not to hoard right now.
It's tough because then once you turn the switch the other way, last year we took a vacation it was a driving vacation where we drove upstate to Buffalo, Niagara Falls. And because we had our car at a certain point, we realized okay, we're not we can have a lot of luggage. We don't have to be limited about should I bring my pillow or not. I can bring my pillow. It's great. But it also meant we found we went to a used bookstore that was the biggest used bookstore in upstate New York that has 3 floors, and we spent an hour and a half in there and had 2 giant boxes to load in the trunk and realized oh yeah, we can. Yeah, this is the plan now. We can keep getting books. There's no limit on how many books you can have. And at some point, if you don't hear from me for a couple of weeks, it may be because I am drowning in books. And,
buried under books.
Yes, exactly. But at least I'll have something to read until my glasses break, and then I am Burgess Meredith.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not at that point. I can read without glasses. I'm okay.
Oh, good.
I should not do anything else without glasses, but I can read without glasses.
If we've learned anything from Burgess, though, it's have an extra pair of glasses.
Completely. Yes. Yeah.
Because there was time now. I say that all the time.
Me too. Oh my gosh, me too. I tell you, a few weeks ago, I had a dentist appointment, and it was the middle of the day, and I leave work, I plan it because I have no idea what traffic is going to be, so I knew I would have probably, because I will never be late for the dentist. I don't ever want to piss off a dentist. But I planned it so that I knew I would have at least 15 minutes in the waiting room, probably more. And I get my appointment was at 2:30. I get there, it's 2 o'clock. I'm great. And I said, receptionist, I'm here. I know I'm early. Don't worry. I'll sit. And I opened my book and I was so excited because I'm I have a half hour to read in the middle of the day. And then the dentist comes out and says, Emily, we're ready for you. And I was so disappointed because there was time now, Christine.
It's always frustrating when you get called early for an appointment.
God, no.
I know, I get it though. I get it.
Yeah.
You had time earmarked.
I think that was also the day, was that the root canal? That was the day that I came home and was miserable and watched Skinamarink, and I fell asleep watching it, and it just soured that movie as well, and maybe it was all because of the book, now that I think about it. Maybe I'll give that movie another chance. You watched it yet?
Which one?
Skinamarink.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were talking about. I wasn't sure, though. No, I still have not seen it. I don't know why, Emily.
I'm not telling you should have. I didn't like it.
No, but I'm just, it's like, you'll die under a pile of books from the bookstore. I'm going to die under all the movies I said I was going to watch. Not even physical copies of them. Just like the idea.
The little imagination bubbles of them just start clogging your breathing.
Do you know how many movies you watched last year?
No. I'm sure I could probably press a button and figure that out on Letterboxd, but no, I do not.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if you had like a strong memory of it. I was just shy of 400, wow. And I really want to do 400 this year, but I worry if maybe that's an unrealistic.
You know, it's funny because a lot of people I know do that with books, where they'll do like the Goodreads challenge of, I want to read 75 books this year. And for me, like, I don't like to do that for anything because I don't think the number helps me at all actually do the things I should be doing. I think there's different things where it's like, if you say read 2 mysteries and 2 historical and 2 this, or watch 5 documentaries and 5 Best Picture winners, like that I like, where it's, okay, I'm watching something to fulfill a list, but it's a specific like part, like a way to enrich something here. But when it's just like, oh, make sure you watch this many, and then it's like the way people would do steps. And granted, like, I have never been a dieter. I've never been successful at that. So it also maybe in my head is like the same way people count calories. And I think like, it just doesn't work. But people that would do that with like, how many steps did I get in today? And then they start like cheating. Like I've known people that are like, you know, if you just move back and forth, like if you weigh your leg this way and that way, you get steps. And I'm sitting there watching this person do that thinking, I'm sorry, what is the point of you counting steps? Is it so that you can move more and get fit and feel better? Or is it just so that you hit a number every day? And that's how I feel a little bit about sometimes when people make when that's the way they approach lists. And I think it works for different people. But for me, I worry that I become the step person where I'm like, okay, I get home, I'm going to cook, but here, I'll put it on the background so I can technically say I watched that movie, but I didn't really pay attention to it. That's my concern.
That's valid. And that's probably, if I did that with books, it would become not fun or not good. If I did it with other things, probably the same. It doesn't work that way with me in movies. Good. I think that I just maybe need to be more deliberate about the way I spend my time, because I would rather have watched 400 movies instead of 389 and not have stared at my phone as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
So for me, it's more like that. Like my attention is going to go to a screen, which isn't good. But I maybe need to be more deliberate about what's on that screen.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, so do you have any goals that you want to set for 2024?
I do, and I've already been doing an okay job. I'm going to try to watch more female written directed things.
Very nice.
Which is always a goal, but like when I really am deliberate about it, I have a better time watching movies. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna try to challenge myself a little bit more with movies.
I like that.
And maybe watch some stuff that I thought maybe wasn't for me. And please correct me if I'm saying this director's name wrong, but Greg Araki.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's right.
Doom Generation is a movie I've never seen.
Same.
And I watched Smiley Face for the first time like a couple days ago, and I think that was my first of his movies ever.
I think the only one of his I've watched is Mysterious Skin.
Yeah,
which is very good, but also my understanding is the most mainstream of his movies. But
so that's wicked cool, because from what I understand, the tone of Smiley Face is completely different from the tone of Doom Generation. So I like kind of what you said about finding a new author. Like it's like, okay, well, I finally said, why don't I try this thing that I never felt like was for me before? And I liked it a lot. So now I have this whole world opened up to me.
Wonderful.
More stuff like that, I think, is what I would like to do. What about you? Are you setting any goals? Or I
hadn't really thought about it. I think having Criterion again, kind of on a bit of a time, like, okay, we have 3 months of it, and we can always renew it and keep it. But the idea of having it has immediately made me, like, I've already watched 2 movies from there. Like, it's immediately drawn me to say, like, okay, what's on here that I can't have a hard time finding elsewhere? And these are movies that require me to commit to them, so I'm committing to them. So I think just in general that trying to do not less throwaway, because I like my throwaway movies, and next on my list is a Lifetime thriller recommended by James and Angela that I will definitely watch, Killer Coworker. Don't worry, it's on there. But I think I need to also commit to watching the movies that I think are actually going to be good movies, that I keep like, I don't know, it's kind of, it looks long. Like, no, like, I have afternoons. I can sit down and watch a movie. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what I mean about bumping my number up, because so often I will have that mentality, so I just won't do anything. Yeah. And I don't know that that's the best use of my time.
Yeah, it's very, and again, like, time is different for everybody, obviously. And I look at, again, a lot of the movies I watch, I do watch in the morning before work, so I don't get the full movie experience. But then, like, weekends, like, and I'm busy. I exercise. I'm, like, cooking a lot. I'm doing stuff. I'm seeing people. But I'll still, like, today, I'm like, I had a lot of hours free today. And I did stuff. But some of that stuff was sitting there bopping around on the internet, where that could have been watching something of substance. So just to kind of allow... remind myself that there is amazing content that I have not seen out there that is accessible to me, and I should give a chance.
Yep.
And I think also remembering Canopy more, and just some of those resources that are really great for a lot of great stuff.
So Canopy, I know that we probably want to wrap up, but real quick, Canopy changed their credit system.
They did. I don't understand. I don't use it enough to ever worry about it, but how did it make a difference for you?
So for me, it's way better.
Good.
So you can watch any kids stuff and it doesn't count, which is cool, but like not my main objective, but I thought that was cool. Yeah. So the way it used to be, if anybody is unaware, you used to get 5 credits and essentially watching anything, 5 credits a month, and essentially watching anything was a credit. And for me, like, I watched Personal Shopper on Canopy. I had to pause to go make lunch. When I came back, my TV had completely gone to sleep.
No.
When I turned it back on to restart Personal Shopper, it wanted to take another one of my credits. That happened to me twice. This new thing, you get 10 credits a month, and watching most movies costs you 2. So you still essentially get 5 like feature-length movies, but it's like a 48-hour window to watch it.
Good.
So it's almost like treating it like a real rental. So you can pause it away. So that led to me in December, I used all my credits. That's the first time I had ever done that.
Very nice.
I was like, oh, this is much more usable now. Good.
Yeah, and there's stuff there that you don't find anywhere, and it's such an interesting assortment. A lot of international, a lot of documentaries, trashy horror, a lot of good trashy horror there.
Yep, and newer stuff too. That's, I think, where I found Shiva Baby to watch for not the cost of a rental, which I thought was great. Yeah. Library people. So good.
I like how we secretly, every episode is just basically a push to get people to use their library.
Just go to the library.
Yes.
I don't even go to mine. It's all digital. I get all my audiobooks through Libby, and I do all my movies through Canopy. That's not even physical stuff.
I have, the library for me is like 2 blocks away, so every now and then it does make sense if there's a book I need and I can't get it. And I'm also that person now that's become where Kindles are really easy to read and they're very comfortable and I don't have to have the light on at night. But if there's a book that is not available that way, I just have it sent to my library.
Yeah, the same. We're not close to ours, so hopefully when we move, I've actually made it a secret priority.
I love that. Oh God, I didn't think about that. That's got to be on my list of like, okay, what are some things that are important to you in your home buying experience? Proximity to a good library. Yeah.
Kind of, because back in my old place, I used to be able to walk, and it was life-changing.
Yeah.
And then no, that changed.
I mean, I think I told you how I flipped out when during pandemic, my library, I have a library near work and a library near my old apartment. So I could get to either one. I could get to one during the week and one on the weekends. And at a certain point during the pandemic, my library card was expiring, but we had just moved.
Mm-hmm.
But I
remember
needed
that.
access to both. I'm like, but I had access to the public library. Like, the New York City Public Library is incredible, and it's a great resource. I don't want to lose that. And I have the Westchester Library now, too, which is how I have Canopy. But so I, like, freaked out because I'm like, I don't have my driver's license. It doesn't say that I live in Manhattan anymore. What do I do? And I was able to make it work. And as a result, I still have my original New York City Library card with the lions on it.
That's so great.
Yes, my most prized possession.
I'm glad they helped you with that, because when I moved, I left the Seattle public library system and just am now in the county one, and it really has taken things down a notch.
Yeah, no, it's important, people. Don't just what it comes down to is it's not even about like changing your library. Just maintain your library, because usually even if you move somewhere, if your library card expires, like, nobody wants to cut you off. Like, no library really, like, if you move a couple towns over or states over, but still want to access your library for digital things, like, I mean, my card recently was expiring, so I walked, I made sure I had mail with me. I went to the library and all they did was just give me a new card. I didn't even have to say anything. I didn't have to prove where I lived. So they could just keep doing that. Just keep in mind, people. Like, just maintain. Like, same with your passport, right? Like, It is easy to renew your passport. It's very difficult when it expires and you have to get a new one. Same is true of your library card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is very true. And you've heard it here first.
That's right.
Keep your library stuff up to date.
Mm-hmm. I feel great. I feel like we have had a lovely conversation, and more importantly, educated the listener base on a very important life thing.
Our job here is done.
Pretty much, yeah. We'll figure out what we're doing next. I think we both have ideas. So let's talk off mic about those. With that being said, Christine, you have books, you have places people should go to find you?
Not really.
Oh.
My name's Christine Makepeace, if you don't know. So you can just Google that. I'm sure you'll find stuff. I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram, but I'm hard to find on purpose.
Okay, then. I am at Deadly Dolls on Blue Sky and Twitter. Still I don't know why. Whatever. On Instagram, we are the feminine _critique _pod and stuff. So we still don't know where we're supposed to be, but those are some places we are.
Social media, man.
God, yeah. So with that note of us feeling very old, we will bid you adieu.
Goodbye.
Library. A library is where you go to read books and magazines, to hear stories, or listen to music. At the library. At the library. Excuse me, I'm looking for some help. Do you have any books on kelp? What can I say? I love kelp. Wander through the stacks, through the magazine racks, see the fish in the tank. I think I'll name that one Hank. A tablet with stories I can follow along. Put on some headphones, hear my favorite song. Settle into a nook with that special book. There's the rug they use for story time. My favorite new thing is story time. I love it at the lab. I almost forgot to tell you something very important about the library. You have to be very, very quiet inside. Be quiet in the library, 'cause people work, read, or study. You know it's only polite that you keep very quiet.